Hey everyone, welcome to Ajay and Nathan Discuss Movies, a show in which we discuss movies both old and new. Today, Nathan is unfortunately out, but have no fear because I did watch a new movie that just released in the theaters this past weekend, not once, but twice, and that movie is titled One Battle After Another, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson. The movie stars Leonardo DiCaprio in the main role as he plays Bob Ferguson as he tries to help out his daughter, Willa Ferguson, played by Chase Infiniti, as he tries to thwart away from white nationalist named Stephen Lockjaw, played by Sean Penn, as he takes refuge in Sanctuary City. He is accompanied by friends of his such as Benicio del Toro, as Benicio del Toro plays Sensei, and it is a culmination of him trying to thwart off the evils of Sean Penn, the American military, and many other characters as well. It is a star-studded cast, as I mentioned before. Leonardo DiCaprio's in the movie, Benicio del Toro, Sean Penn, Teyana Taylor, Regina Hall, Tony Goldwyn, the guy who's the direct ancestor of the person that made The Lion for MGM. It is a star-studded cast. I watched this movie not once, but twice. And overall, in terms of my opinions on it, I love this film. I thought it was an amazing film. I'm just going to cut to the chase. There's been a lot of hype for this film. Obviously, well-deserved. It is a Paul Thomas Anderson film. And if you know Paul Thomas Anderson's work, you know he makes films that are of quality, whether it's Punch Drunk Love, Boogie Nights, There Will Be Blood, Inherent Vice. We'll probably not talk about Licorice Pizza, but he is a man that makes of quality work, and this is definitely, in my opinion, one of the better films he's ever made. And that's not really me trying to say this is better than the other films. That's not me saying that, but this is definitely him at his best. I love this film so much. As I mentioned before, I've watched this film not once but twice, and I think on the second watch, on rewatch, it definitely still holds up. There's so much that we can really get into this movie, but in terms of trying to not spoil it, because I'll try my best to not spoil it. Yes, I may get into some jokes here and there in terms of what the movie is trying to go for in terms of the humor. But this is just an amazing film. This is definitely going to be on many people's year-end list, deservedly so. And if Paul Thomas Anderson doesn't win an Oscar for this film, then why even have the Oscars? Right? Apparently, Paul Thomas Anderson has never won an Oscar. He's been nominated like 12, 13 times, and he's never won an Oscar. That's a shame. That is an absolute travesty. So if he does not win for this, then just get rid of the Oscars entirely. It is well-deserved of its praise, of its adulation, of the hype that's building around it. I think Letterboxd has it at a 4.5 rating, which is unprecedented for that site. Critics are rating it 96 out of 100 on Rotten Tomatoes. So the consensus is in, and people are combined just in love and are infatuated with this movie for good reason. So, as we mentioned before, the movie depicts Bob Ferguson and Willa Ferguson as they try to thwart off the evils of Sean Penn and his goons as he tries to wreak havoc in Backtown Cross, which is a sanctuary city. And in a lot of ways, this film was in development for 20 years. And it's interesting to point that out because I feel as if this film could have been made within a year and it would still be as politically prescient as it is today. A lot of the themes, a lot of the ideas that were sort of delved into in this movie that may have been relevant 20 years ago are still as relevant to this day as well. We mentioned the humor in this movie. I feel as if the humor really added a lot to this film. It wasn't necessarily as jokey as, say, Eddington, which I also love that movie as well. It's not as jokey as, say, Eddington. I would say it's more pronounced. I've seen a lot of similarities, or I've seen a lot of people sort of find similarities between this movie and Eddington, and I do agree with that. There are similarities between both of those films, but I think this film is a lot more pronounced. I feel like Paul Thomas Anderson found a more mature way of handling those topics. That's not to say Eddington is a bad movie. I still really enjoy Eddington. But I felt as if Paul Thomas Anderson delved into these topics with more of a mature way of looking at it. And he was able to deal with these topics in a way that felt linear and, more importantly, felt well-intentioned as a result of it. We mentioned the performances. Leonardo DiCaprio obviously gives an amazing performance, as always. But Benicio del Toro is such a captivating figure. We mentioned on the Phoenician Scheme review, or Nathan mentioned on the Phoenician Scheme review, that he should be viewed in the same length as, say, Javier Bardem and Denzel. And I fully agree with that. Because the way that he's so charismatic on screen is a sight to behold. He is so charismatic, and he's so charming, so likable. I'm not really going to get into spoilers, but there's that scene in which he's pulled over and he's asked if he's had a couple of drinks. And when he responds, the way he responds, the acting that he does, the dancing that he does when he's asked if he's had a few drinks in him is so hilarious and is so charismatic. And if you gave that role to any other actor, it would fall flat on its face. But because Benicio del Toro is so captivating and so charismatic on screen, it works. Benicio del Toro plays Sensei. He plays Willa Ferguson, played by Chase Infiniti. He plays his sensei for Willa Ferguson as her Taekwondo instructor, karate instructor. I'm not so sure the discipline in which he is a professor in, or a sensei in, but he does play a sensei in this movie. But he also plays a person that takes refuge of immigrants and people of that nature. You know, we mentioned the politically prescient issues that this movie sort of delves into, and immigration really does play a role in it. Left-wing ideas and causes really play a role of it. The enduring role of, or the existing threat of white nationalism plays a role of it. There's this hilarious scene in which Tony Goldwyn, and I'm not going to really spoil it, so this is not really a spoiler moment, but Tony Goldwyn and his sort of cronies are a part of this Christmas adventurers meeting, which is basically just like a front for white nationalists. And Stephen Lockjaw, played by Sean Penn, really wants to be a part of it. And the scenes in which Tony Goldwyn and his goons interact with Stephen Lockjaw, played by Sean Penn, is hilarious. I love those scenes so much. It's not a spoiler, but it is some of the most hilarious scenes ever put on film, not just of this year, but all time. I can go on and on about the endless praise for this movie that I have, or for the movie that we're discussing right now. But I definitely do believe that this is a film that you need to sit with. This is not a film in which you pull out your camera, turn on your video, put it on selfie mode, and then give your thoughts like you're John Flickinger. No offense to John Flickinger.
All right, I'm still in the movie theater because I just saw F1. By the way, check out this hallway. It's pretty awesome.
But this is a film that you need to sit with. This is a film that you sort of need to let marinate, because to sort of give your opinions on a film that the director, that the people behind the screen took nearly 20 years to make, I feel as if it's not worth just filming your out of the theater reaction for. You know, this is a film that requires and warrants discussion, and warrants and deserves people to discuss it in a more nuanced way. This is not a film in which it depicts both sides are bad or both sides are good. It shows the nuance within both sides. It shows the nuance of these characters. And more importantly, I think in a way that this is definitely one of the more hyped movies of the year. It will definitely not make its money back in the box office. I'm just going to spoil that for you right now. It's not going to make its money back in the box office. It should, because movies of this nature are rarely made for cinema. They're rarely made for the theater. But this is a film that I think is worthy of your time. So definitely go watch it. It is one of the best movies of the year. If the Academy doesn't decide to award P.T. Anderson for this film, it will never award P.T. Anderson for an Academy Award. I'm just going to spoil that. I'm just going to say that right here, right now. The Academy needs to give P.T. Anderson his shine, his credit, because to simply not acknowledge the influence that he's had on American films, at this point, it's quite infuriating. So yes, this is worthy of all the hype. We mentioned the performances. I love the sound design as well. I thought the gun rattling, the gun sounds were just amazing. We mentioned the cinematography. As always, I feel as if P.T. Anderson films have just amazing cinematography, whether it was at the immigration detention center in the beginning of the film or that car chase scene that happens at the end of the film. There is one point in this film, and this is a minor criticism. I love this film. I really do. I think it's well worth your time watching, so please go see it. If you're watching this film, or if you're watching this review and you haven't gone seen it yet, please go see it. It is well worth your time watching. But there is this one moment in the film in which a character dies. I'm not going to specify which character, but he dies. And when you see his dead, decrepit body, it looks like John Cena in Judgment Day of 2005. He's very bloody. And for some reason, he comes back. He comes back, he fulfills his arc, and then he dies again. and in a more clear, apparent way. To me, I felt as if once that character dies, that should be the end of his role. That should be the end of his character. In my opinion. That's not to say the film suffers because of it. I mean, there's still a hilarious scene that comes out of that moment shortly after, involving the Christmas Adventures meeting. But it just felt hastily done. So that's my only critique on the movie. I felt like he kind of overstayed his welcome, that character. But that's not to say as if I didn't enjoy this film afterwards, because I still enjoyed it. So yeah, overall, those are my thoughts on the movie. This should be wrapping up the awards. If Anora swept the Oscars this year, why can't this film? And that's what I'm going to say. If Anora swept the Oscars last year, and that's not to say Anora was a bad film. It was in my top 5 films of 2024. It's a good film. But I think that this film definitely deals with themes in a more coherent way, in a more pronounced way, in a way that's more streamlined, but also well-intentioned. And I think that this film is able to grapple with those themes, with those bombastic themes, in a way that was never at the sight of the viewer. And that is very rare for prestige films. So yeah, I've sung my praises on the film, and I will continue to sing my praises on this film. This I will spoil, because I think it's very important for you guys to know. This is easily my favorite film of the year so far. I don't know about the rankings just yet. I still need some time to sit with the films that have been released over the past few months, this year in general. But in my opinion, this is easily the best film of the year. I'm just going to come clean and say it right off the bat. I'm sure there will be other great films that will come out later in the year, but I'm happy to come to the conclusive end to say that this is easily my favorite film of the year. I've watched this film not once but twice, and I plan on watching it a third time. I'm not going to lie. I'm planning on watching it a third time because I think it is definitely worthy of being watched on multiple viewings. But yeah, the humor was there, the meaning, the subtext was there, the character motivations were also there. I thought Teyana Taylor did really well given her limited screen time. Regina Hall, definitely great. Chase Infiniti, this is her first film she's ever starred in, or actually was in, and the fact that she was able to give this genuine, heartfelt performance in it, I think she has a lot of potential to her, and I'm excited to see where her career goes from here. P.T. Anderson obviously is definitely a god amongst many. He is a god amongst men, and I am very happy to see that he is able to create a film of this nature that was inspired by the works of Thomas Pynchon, which I'm excited to see, but read Thomas Pynchon's new book, which is scheduled to be released next week. So yeah, I can go on and on about the endless praise that I have for this film, but I'll just cut it from here. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. I really don't know what movie I'll discuss next because it's hard to go from Paul Thomas Anderson to whatever slop Disney or Paramount or Warner Brothers releases from that on end. But I implore you guys to watch this in a theater. This is worthy of going to a theater and watching. Don't just wait when it hits Netflix. Don't just wait until it hits HBO Max or Apple TV as it gets thwarted in this in the bin of the decrepit and in the
that you had you could you do you
digital version of the bargain bin that you can find at Walmart. Don't just wait when it gets dumped on streaming where it will be found for no one to watch. Please go watch this film in the theaters. We crave for original storytelling. We tell Hollywood that we want original storytelling, but when actual original films are in the theaters, where are those people? Where are the people that ask for original stories? Are they at the theater? No. So please go watch this film. It is well worth your time watching. The 2 hour and 15-minute runtime is what is justified in my opinion. At no point does it slog. The pacing is amazing. It is worth your time watching. So please, if you haven't watched the movie yet, I didn't spoil this movie for a reason. I think this is one of those films that is worthy to be watched without having any understanding or knowledge heading into it, because I had no knowledge of what the movie was about heading into this. I felt like the trailers were quite ambiguous for good reason, so it didn't really affect my viewing of the movie or fill in the clues needed for me to understand the movie. I love this movie. I love this movie, and it's worth your time watching, so please go watch it if you haven't already. And yeah, that's it for me. Bye.